Okay, class, we need to finish up problem number 3. We got down here to 2 over 18, but we need to simplify this. 2 is already prime, so our numerator would stay 2. Our denominator of 18, we already did the prime factorization, which is 2 times 3 times 3. These 2's here simplify, and since everything is simplified out in the numerator, your numerator would be 1. Your denominator is 3 times 3, which is 9. So your final answer is 1/9. Now we go here to problem number 4. We find the common denominator of 5 and 4. 5 is already prime, and 4 prime factorization is 2 times 2. Now if you notice, they have nothing that matches up, so we go with the smallest numbers to the highest number. So we add 2 times 2 times 5, which is 20. So our denominators are 20. And now again, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator, or the original denominator. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we would take this 4 and multiply it by this numerator. 4 times 4 is 16. Now we take the new denominator divided by the original denominator, or old denominator. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So we would take this 5 here and multiply it by this 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Now our denominator stays 20, and 16 minus 5 is 11. So our final answer here is 11 over 20. Okay, now, one thing that I always tell you all is this here, that whenever we do mathematical problems, I will show you a nice simple way of doing the math problem. Then I have to show you all the math behind it. So what I want to do is I want to go back up to one of our problems. It doesn't matter which problem, but I probably want to go back up to, let's say here, problem number 2 at the top. Let's go back up here to problem number 2. Okay. Now, we're going to use this problem here as the problem that I show you the mathematical concepts with. So, just take a good look at this. I'm going to shrink the screen a little bit here. And I'm going to move this over. Let me see if I could shrink the screen again and move this. Oh, for some reason it's not letting me move this without it getting bigger. Okay, that's good. Now, I'm going to get a blank screen here. So let me scroll this over here so you could totally see number 2. Okay, this is all of number 2. Now we're going to do a little bit of a comparison here. Now, what we're going to do is this here. We're going to take this same problem. We have our 5, 6 plus our 2 9ths. I need to give some space here. I don't need to redo the prime factorization. You still do all of this. So our denominators is still 18. Now remember how I told you here, we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator, which gave us 3, right? Now remember how I told you all to take this 3 and multiply by the numerator. Now mathematically speaking, this 3 was actually multiplied to this numerator and denominator. Because watch this. First of all, 3 divided by 3 is 1, right? So when you take 1 and multiply by anything, it doesn't change the problem. So we look here at our denominator. 3 times 6 is 18. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Now if you see here, this is how you get the 15 over 18. Now we go here. We did it here. We took the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 18 divided by 9 gave us 2. So what that really meant was we would take that 2 and multiply it by the numerator and the denominator. And we know 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it's not changing this fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4, and we know 9 times 2 is 18. And when we add this together, this gives us 19 over 18. Now, I'm going to do one more problem, and I think I may go to problem number 1. Yeah, number 1, I'm going to have to expand this a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. See if I can expand it just a little more. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we're going to do number 1 here. Okay, number 1, we have our, I gotta scroll this down. We have our 2/5 plus 4/9. Now again, we don't have to find a common denominator. We have this right here. So we know our common denominator is 45. But now remember, we could still do it like we did before. We take the new denominator divided by the old, or we could say the original. 45 divided by 5 gave us 9. So what really happened here was we multiplied this numerator and denominator by 9. And we know that 9 over 9 is 1, and 1 times 2/5 is still 2/5. So it really didn't change the problem. So we had 9 times 2 is 18, and 9 times 5 gave us 45. Now we go here. Again, we took the new denominator divided by the old denominator. 45 divided by 9 gave us 5. So what we're really doing here, we're multiplying this numerator and denominator by 5. So we have 9 times 5, which is 45, and 4 times 5, which is 20. Now we add them together. Our denominator still stays 45, and our numerator is 38. Now this is the mathematical process of solving this problem, which is showing every single step. So you had 9/9 times this fraction and 5/5 times this fraction. It's basically the same concept you did here. It's just that I'm showing you the math behind it. Now we have to scroll down here because we still have one more problem to do. So we need to go to the last page of section 3.3. Now we have solving problems by adding or subtracting unlike fractions. To solve real-life problems that involves division of fractions, we use the 4 problem solving steps from page 30 in chapter 1. Okay, let's take a look here. It says find the difference in length of 2 boards if one board is 4/5 of a foot and the other is 2/3 of a foot. Now, what happened here is this here. We want to find the difference. Difference means subtraction, correct? So we would take 4/5 minus 2/3. Now we have to find our common denominator. We can go off to the side here. We have 5, we have 3. 5 is prime, and also 3 is prime. So we'll just multiply those two numbers together, and that will give us our common denominator. Our common denominator would be 15. Now what happens here is we take the new denominator divided by the old denominator. So we have 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So remember, this 3 is really multiplying this numerator and the denominator by 3. So we already have our 15, which was the 3 times 5. Now we take 3 times 4, which is 12. Now we look at the new denominator divided by this old denominator. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we're really multiplying this fraction by 5 over 5. 3 times 5 gave us our denominator, which is 15, and 2 times 5 is 10. And we know both of these fractions we put here are really just 1, so it's not changing the fraction. Now we subtract. We keep our denominator the same, which is 15, and 12 minus 10 is 2. So our answer here is 2/15. But remember, we must write down the unit of measure. So the unit of measure was foot, so it'd be 2 over 15 feet. And that is it for that problem. Now, there was a glitch up here as well that I want you to change in your course pack. It says here to solve real-life problems that involve division of fractions. We didn't do division of fractions. We actually did subtraction of fractions. So what we need to do here is we really just need to scratch out this statement here. Well, actually, no. Let me take that back. We could keep this statement here, but just get rid of division and put subtraction. So it'd be to solve real-life problems that involve subtraction of fractions. We use the 4 problem-solving steps from page 30 in chapter 1. Okay, now this is it for section 3.3. Now we are going to move on to section 3.4, but I want to clarify a couple things before we're done. First of all, when you're doing an exam, I showed you all the shortcut of just taking the number that you get here and multiplying it by the numerator. But you must show your work. So you must show this fraction, 3 over 3, 5 over 5, in all of your problems. Now you have been shown this, and if you have any questions, please let me know in our next class.